Hello my brothers, this is the Order. Welcome back to the Order and Celtic Templar, and welcome back to another Celtic History Month. And today, y'all, we're actually going to be discussing why Rome never invaded Ireland. Now, this is actually what I put on a voting poll, and it only, it didn't win against the Celtic Hill Forts, but as I promised from my Celtic Hill Fort video, we will be doing this one majorly because it came in close second, so I might as well do it the next day. So, yeah. Now, many people actually want to know why the Romans never invaded Ireland. Well, many people actually do have weird ideas out there. Now, however, though, I actually got a comment on one of my recent posts that I put up before, about 2 days ago on this, by a smart name, and he put, "Honestly, I'd say the real reason why Rome never invaded is probably because Rome landed in Ireland and spent a week there, and a week of nothing but pissing rain and bogs, then decided, fuck it, this place isn't worth it." There might actually be a truth to that factor. One major reason is because we can include the fact of the terrain and the weather. Now maybe you might wonder, Templar, what do I mean by that? Well, a stated of rain and bogs. Now, that's not exactly what Ireland is entirely. In fact, one to the major point, when we take a look at the geography design of Ireland compared to the fact of where Rome could have ended up landing, that's a major thing. But in fact, there are many more reasons than that. In fact, there were many plans for, well, Rome to actually invade. In fact, though people say that there was nothing there for Rome to conquer. However, that's not true. Rome would have actually conquered the area if they saw it as a major threat. One, because of slaves, as well also because of, say, wheat, or as well resources such as wood, and as such, they would have actually taken the area. And as well, the only reason they had to do, though, is probably deal with the fact that the Celtic Irish pirates. So, that's a good example to it. Now, though, many people actually wonder, okay, who would be crazy enough to actually invade? Well, this idea actually first came into mind of the guy known as Gaius Paulinus, the very man who defeated the Boudiccan revolt. And it's stated, though, he actually wanted Rome to actually push into the island. Thing is, though, Rome didn't want to. They already put too much resources into facing off against the Celtic Britons. And the fact is, they hadn't even conquered the said northern landscape. Some Romans actually thought that Ireland was another continent. I'm not kidding. There was actually this weird Roman theory that Ireland was just another vast continent of wild people. That they believed that it would be impossible to invade. So that could be a major reason. Which, this actually brings up to the 4 design reasons. One would be the distance. 1 would be the manpower needed to invade. 3 would actually also be the said weather. And 4 would also be the said geography. Those 4 reasons. Now, when I form a distance, this could actually be the form of distance to travel from Gaul to Britannia and then into Ireland. Or from the Britons, well, from the lands of the Britons into Ireland, maybe one might say, would be a lot shorter. Problem is, that island needed a defense. So they had to take their forces from Iberia and Gaul and probably go into the said region. Problem is, as soon as they would have to get there, they also need massive amount of resources in order for food and supplies. That supplies would wear out, especially when you're on a sea voyage. And a Roman trireme. If you don't want to know what a Roman trireme, this is what a Roman trireme is. And these were not sea approval for the Atlantic. They were perfect for, say, the Mediterranean or along the coastlines, but for sailing out in vast oceans, no. They were actually stated to not be the best design. These ships were stated to run aground a lot more easily than Celtic designed ships, or as well even that of Roman, or in this case late Roman designed ships, that which were used by the Byzantine Empire. Now, when we take a look at this in history, these ships were not exactly a hollow draft, nor did they actually have, well, a design that was meant for sailing up rivers. They were just meant for shores, meaning you can't sail down a river with it, and as such, the Romans kind of feared to sail anywhere near Ireland for one major reason: the weather involved. Because one, the only time you can actually ever sail to Ireland is in particular weather. One, you're going to need the wind for you, and as well, many people might say, oh, but Templar, with a trireme you can easily row. Yes, but there's this thing called the Gulf Stream that connects from the Gulf and all the way over here into the Atlantic. So in other words, it goes down the said areas near Ireland. And as such, that design feature can easily stop invaders from sailing northward. However, there is a type of Atlantic stream in the North Sea that would allow the said Romans to sail upward. Problem is, they would have to go north around Scotland and then come back down. Now people would say, oh, but Templar, that doesn't sound too bad. Here's the thing, you pretty much don't know ancient sailing equipment. So, yeah. These type of ships were not meant for sea voyage, especially in the open sea. There's a reason why the Romans hated the vast oceans of the Atlantic and the Pacific and as well the Indian Ocean. So, you can see my point. So why is it that the Romans would never want to go over into that area? Simple. They believed there were vast sea monsters. Seen to the fact that Romans actually lost more ships trying to sail north into Scotland when it came to invasions, that could be a good example. However, some Romans actually stated that if they invaded Scotland, they can then invade Ireland. Which sounded like a good idea at first. Problem is, the Picts. The Picts were the only problem. The Picts and the Caledonians, I should say. But the major thing is, you can't invade Scotland and think that you're going to get away with it. In fact, the Romans lost thousands and thousands of men and manpower just trying to conquer the land. So why not Ireland? Why did they fail? Well, as I said, that Gulf Stream would actually force any ships that were going northward to end up being forced southward, even if you were rowing constantly. Because one, your body isn't made like a motor function. And the fact is, even if you got the sail up, the problem would also be the fact of how the sail works. In fact, we can actually take a look at this when it comes to the Spanish Armada during the time of the said Reconquista of, well, Britannia by the Spanish military to remanufacture it as a Catholic nation against the Protestants of Queen Elizabeth. The Spanish failed and had to end up going all the way around Scotland and down towards between Ireland and Britannia until they got back to Spain. And the worst part of it is that the Romans would end up facing a lot worse because, one, their hulls are not that well built for long sea voyages, and which don't actually hold that much food. And in fact, the worst part of it is those guys are going to be rowing, and as such, they're going to end up eating a lot more food than what they actually provisioned for. So that massive sail would end up being worth nothing. And the fact is, if we take a look at history between the fact of Roman Britons actually recounting history of their island when they faced off against Julius Caesar's campaign, and as well compared to that of the, Julius Caesar's own dialogue and description of the Roman campaign in Britannia, we can actually give a good example of why this would also fail as also. One, the triremes would not be able to make landfall as easily, and when it comes to the said weather, guess what's going to happen? The weather's going to damage the ships, it's going to cast them away out to sea also. So, in fact, whenever you actually have a chance to sail from, say, Wales to Ireland, it's like once or twice a year. In other words, you can only do it in like about two forms of the seasons. Somewhere around spring and summer times, for example. However, as soon as the fall and winter start coming around, for example, you're not going to be able to sail that type of way forward. And the main reason is that Gulf Stream design, and the fact is, weather can easily be your enemy. And the fact is, Irish coastline was very different in our modern time. And the fact is, when we take a look at it, the Irish shores would be almost impossible to actually sail into because there would be boglands right in the area where the Romans had the land. So that could be an example why Ireland could not be invaded because of the massive amount of geography and weather. However, when it comes to the other form of geography, Rome had to actually come up with a different design when it comes to taking a look at the thing. Now, when we take a look at Ireland today when it comes to geography, we actually think, oh, it's beautiful. Well, they're not showing the areas out of which are hard to actually conquer through. In fact, not just the Romans had a problem, but also said the Vikings, the Normans, and as well so did the Scots in 1315. As well so did the English long after that. And such, the only reason the Irish lost their form of independence as an Irish nation is because all their kings died off. So that's a good example to it. But in fact, geography was the main reason why invasions failed. For example, in 1315, when it came to the weather and geography and effects towards the said Scottish armies, Edward Bruce, Robert the Bruce's own brother, actually died because he only spent 1 year in Ireland and in fact had low on resources and manpower. And in fact, the weather was his enemy. So that's a good example to it. But now, what does distance have to be put into this? Simple. How many armies are going to end up having to take from Iberia, Gaul, and such to invade that landscape and have enough resources to use it? And the fact is, when it comes to manpower, that's another thing. Romans did not want to go any further. In fact, for example, when we take a look at Claudius Caesar's invasion, Romans actually were starting to mutiny. However, it was stated that it was put down. Problem is, though, that's the major thing. If they saw an island like that in Ireland and they thought there's going to be another island and another island, or worse, a massive continent, it's like Romans did not want to go any further. Because one, many of them actually believed that there was a vast sea of monsters beyond the said horizon. And the thing is, they were kind of somewhat right about the fact of Ireland being the home of the Druids. And the fact is, the Celtic culture there actually survived a long time for one major reason, because Rome never intervened. However, seeing the fact that the English were a problem later on was the problem. But now, when we take a look at it, the major problems are only distance, manpower, weather, and geography. Those four reasons were the main reason why Rome could never invade. That and also the fact of their sailing military design. And the fact is, Rome itself was way too big to defend, and Rome didn't want to get into another problem with another area. However, this doesn't mean that the said Romans never came in contact with the Irish. For example, there are many examples of Celtic and Roman culture in said Ireland. In fact, there are many Roman-designed equipment such as helmets, swords, jewelry, even coins, which have been found in Irish bogs, and with the bog bodies. And this could be a good example to it. So in such, the Romans might have either traded with the Irish, we don't know, or the Irish might have raided the areas of, Ireland and such, so yeah. But as such, I could actually see a raiding be the best things, probably along the coastline of Wales or Britain, depending on how it is. But wherever the Romans were, I think that the raiding would be the biggest example. As well with trade. Now, people would start saying, but Templar, Irish did not have a great navy. Well, they didn't have a great massive navy like the Romans did, but they did have a type of ship that were meant for Atlantic sea voyages, unlike with the Romans. So, yeah, we could see Celtic piracy being one of the major things. But the problem is, Rome couldn't exactly establish its own type of form of military points in this area because of the said weather involved in it. So, in fact, the Irish themselves are unbeatable forever. Yeah, just like the song, Ireland Forever. Anyways, guys, hopefully you liked this video, like and subscribe for more. If any of y'all have any ideas for a next video y'all want me to talk about, and as well as you all want me to take a look at in history, please let me know about any type of idea you want me to talk about of Celtic culture for this said Celtic History Month. Anyways, guys, hopefully to see y'all in the next one, and soon we will be doing the Pictish how-to video on how to dress as a Pictish warrior, or in this case, a common Pictish warrior. And hopefully soon we will do another few how-to videos soon after that. Anyways, guys, this has been Celtic Templar. Hope to see y'all in the next one. Have a great day, and may the Have a great day, guys.